Hi, OroNaz. It's Pastor Travis, and happy Friday to you. Post Resurrection Sunday this week has been, and I've been doing some reflection on why the resurrection matters. And one of the things that God has been calling me more and more into in this time of distancing and isolation is prayer. And so much of the time, I can get caught up in this understanding of prayer that is like I fold my hands, I bow my head, I do it, and I check a box, and I'm making God happy. I'm doing what I need to do. And I think that that's not a very helpful way. Actually, it leads to a lot of guilt when I don't pray. And you might experience that as well. It's not a box to check. And as I was reading in the third chapter of Second Corinthians, the Apostle Paul is talking to a church much like us. And he's saying to real people at a real time in history, he is saying, friends, the glory of God is something that is amazing, and so amazing that you can't even begin to imagine what it is. He's explaining this glory out of the whole understanding of the victory over the grave, over death, post-resurrection. And so this applies to us. And in the 18th verse, the very last verse of that chapter, it says, "And we, who now have unveiled faces, reflect God's glory. And then we're being transformed," he says, "into the likeness of God, the light, ever increasing with him in glory, which comes from the Lord, who is in the Spirit." The same God, the same Jesus, the same glory, the same Spirit, those are available to us today. And God, think of prayer as a time that you can then reflect back God's glory to himself. Even in the midst of grief, even in the midst of frustration, even in the midst of what we're dealing with and the many, many ways that we're dealing with it right now, we can reflect back to God his graciousness, his kindness, his love, his patience with us. I think it's an amazing thing, a very freeing thing to think of prayer as something that God gives first to us, that we don't have to manufacture it inside of ourselves. And so a good prayer might be, "God, show me who you are." Or pick up the Bible and begin to read and say, and ask the question of, what is this telling me about who God is? Well, God is gracious. God, I am so gracious because you first were gracious to me. What a beautiful prayer. Go out into creation. Spend a time alone just for a little bit, maybe away from kids or your wife or your husband or a Zoom meeting. And ask yourself, God, you're gracious, God, and I'm gracious back to you. That's reflecting with an unveiled face the glory of God and joining him in the power of post-resurrection. I hope that helps today. It has for me. Let's keep praying together. I'm praying for you. I miss you guys. Hang in there. Be encouraged this day.